Interesting facts about Condylura cristatam. Many believe that moles spend their entire lives underground and tirelessly dig underground tunnels. This is only partly true. The fact is that in nature there is a variety of these animals that can live not only underground, but also on its surface, and even in water. Condylura cristata is an excellent swimmer. Once in the water, he does not miss the opportunity to feast on small fish, crustaceans, mollusks. The star-nosed mole is found in southeastern Canada, the northeastern regions of the United States. Prefers to settle in wet and damp areas, on the banks of streams, in damp forests and in swampy areas. This mole differs from its closest relatives in that it quite often comes to the surface of the earth. Meanwhile, like all moles, he digs long underground tunnels. A large earthen mound on the surface is the entrance to his dwelling. The star-nosed mole, the photo and description of which does not appear too often on the pages of domestic publications for nature lovers, equips its home in a rotten stump or under marsh hummocks. He carefully lines it with moss and dry leaves. Several underground passages certainly lead to a reservoir. Our today's hero is an unusual creature in all respects, but its main distinguishing feature, no doubt, is a memorable appearance. He has 22 soft tentacles. They grow around a bare oval stigma. This whole unusual design is shaped like an asterisk. Each processed tentacle is up to 4 mm long. All of them are very sensitive and mobile. The processes have many nerve endings, receptors and blood vessels. Scientists call them Imer's organs. They are designed to receive and transmit information. Of the 22, only 2 rays are always motionless. The rest are constantly exploring the surrounding space, studying prey. They instantly determine whether it can be eaten or not. It only takes an animal 8 milliseconds to determine the quality of its prey. In terms of physique, the star-nosed mole is not much different from its relatives. Its body is strong, has a cylindrical shape. The head is elongated, on a short neck. The eyes are very small, barely visible. The auricles are absent. On the front paws, the fingers are long, spatulate, with large flattened claws. The limbs are unusually turned outward, which helps the mole to carry out earthworks. The hind legs are 5-fingered, they are similar in structure to the front ones, but are not so adapted to digging underground passages. When looking at the photo, you may get the wrong impression that this is a huge monster, the star-bearing mole. The size of the animal in reality is from 10 to 13 centimeters. The tail adds about 8 centimeters in length. It is much longer than that of other types of moles, covered with thick hard hair. In winter, it stores fat. Therefore, since autumn, it increases in thickness by almost 4 times. The total weight of the animal does not exceed 80 grams. The star-nosed mole is covered with a much stiffer coat than ordinary moles. Its uniqueness also lies in the fact that it practically does not get wet. The color of the coat can be from dark brown to blue-black. The star-nosed mole can find food everywhere and under any conditions, on the surface of the earth and in depth, in water. For the most part, the diet of animals consists of mollusks, earthworms, larvae, and small fish. Even small mice and frogs get into the food of the animal. The sensitivity of the tentacles located on the nose helps the mole to find prey, which it holds with its front paws. The animal is distinguished by a swift grip, which allows us to consider it one of the most dexterous predators on Earth. In the summer, when food is plentiful, the star-nosed mole is able to eat as much food as it weighs. In other periods, he consumes an average of 35 grams of feed. Mole star-nosed, like all his closest relatives, devotes the bulk of his life to digging numerous underground passages. Some of them lead to a reservoir, others are connected to the rest chambers. The upper passages, which are located closer to the surface of the earth, are intended for hunting, deeper ones are for shelters and raising offspring. The length of underground labyrinths can reach 300 meters. It is interesting that the animal moves along them faster than a rat runs. In winter, the starship can spend a long time in the water under the ice. The animals do not hibernate, they hunt not only during the day, but also at night on the inhabitants of reservoirs. Under a layer of snow, these moles look for hibernating insects. On the surface of the soil, star noses are much more active than ordinary moles. They have their own paths in fallen leaves and dense thickets, along which small living creatures move. In one day, this mole makes up to 6 hunting sorties. In between them, he rests and digests prey. Starships can create small colonies. Up to 40 individuals settle on 1 hectare. Such groups tend to be unstable and break up quite often. It is interesting that individuals of different sexes also communicate outside the mating season. The star-nosed mole is constantly looking for food for itself, but it itself is an object of hunting for dogs, night birds, foxes, skunks, and martins. Underwater, it can become prey for bullfrogs and largemouth bass. In winter, when there is not enough food, predators often dig up star-bearers from underground burrows. Females of this species give birth to offspring once a year. The pregnancy continues for about 45 days. After this period, from 2 to 7 cubs are born. They are born completely naked and helpless, but grow very quickly. Already by the 10th day, their body is covered with wool. The female feeds the cubs with milk for 3 to 4 weeks. By 10 months, they are already sexually mature, capable of reproduction. All of the tentacles on the nose of Condylura cristata are covered with a unique epidermis that is not found in any other mammal. The asterisk on the nose is equipped with more than 25,000 miniature papillae, the diameter of which is about 50 micrometers. Each of them is riddled with numerous nerve endings. This whole complex organ is about 6 times more sensitive than the pads of human fingers. Individual receptors on these outgrowths of Condylura cristata are sensitive to rubbing, but completely unresponsive to pressure. Others, on the contrary, are more susceptible to pressure. All of them are interspersed, so the animal equally well feels any touch to its star. There is an opinion that the nose of this species of mole picks up the weakest electrical impulses that are created during the contraction of the muscles of its prey. This greatly facilitates the search for food for the animal.